As you approach the tavern, you find a plainly dressed woman standing nearby. She appears to be rather troubled about something.
Greetings, friend. Lovely weather we're having today, don't you think?
Oh, hello. I suppose you're right. The weather today is quite lovely. If only those monsters out there would stop causing trouble.
It seems like every character included in the script has a certain amount of useful information to offer. If we keep asking questions, we might be able to get some good leads.
Oh, come now, don't be sad. Life is all about optimism. Oh, that reminds me. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Huh?
I don't think that's the kind of question we're supposed to ask.
Nothing turns a frown upside down like good food. How about some macarons? I could make you some.
You didn't even take cooking as one of your skill proficiencies.
That's not necessary, miss. Excuse me for saying this, but you don't really look like a chef. Besides, I'm not really a fan of sweets.
So you're someone who barely smiles and doesn't like sweets. You're really starting to remind me of this one friend of mine. Hey! Did she just... me?
Glorianne must have broke character for a second.
This isn't getting us anywhere. Traveler, maybe you can think of something.
The results of insight checks aren't disclosed to the players, so I'll be the one consulting the Fatometer. You recall all the lessons you've learned in your time and begin to carefully observe the woman's mannerisms. You notice that when she's quiet, she has an empty look in her eyes, as if her thoughts have drifted to a place far, far away. And when she speaks, she often subconsciously reaches out to touch the ring on her left hand. So you noticed. That's a little embarrassing. A horde of monsters suddenly appeared near the capital recently, so all the guards were dispatched to fight them.
Do you remember when those monsters appeared?
I'm not completely sure. All I know is that my husband was dispatched to fight them 3 days ago.
Do you know where he was sent?
It all happened so fast. When we said our goodbyes, he couldn't even tell me where they were sending him.
You have our thanks, friend. We'll find and defeat those monsters as soon as possible. We sincerely hope your husband will be able to return to your side soon.
Thank you.
Don't worry. We'll find him. Just try to remain optimistic and wait for good news. We don't always get to choose what happens to us. But we do get to choose the little things, like what we eat and how we respond to the things life throws our way. I hope that one day, you too will recognize the power of something as small and inconsequential as a delicious dessert.
I'll do my best. You bid farewell to the woman and continue your journey further into the city.
right up.
As you venture further into the city, the streets appear largely empty. An elderly woman walks past. You see her shake her head as she puts away her wrinkled wallet. A nearby merchant folds his arms and gives you a disdainful look. You get the impression that he's someone who has long gotten used to the sight before him.
Although he doesn't seem very friendly, merchants are usually a good source of information, right?
Pardon me, sir. I'd like to ask a question if I may.
That depends. How much are you willing to pay?
How about this much?
What do you take me for? Some lowly beggar? You can't even buy half an onion with that amount.
Surely an onion can't be that expensive, right?
What do you know? War's nearly upon us. Everything costs several times what it did before. If you're not gonna buy anything, then scram.
Whoa, what a nasty guy. Maybe we shouldn't even bother talking to him.
But he still might have information we need. Traveler, can you think of something?
A performance? I've never played a role-playing game like this before, but even I can tell that suggestion is pretty far-fetched. Is a performance check really going to help here? Alright. Ahem. By the harbor's grace, a lone boat lies in rest. Let the moon give chase, for here begins our quest. In the dark of shadow, our heroes seek to find where creatures born of evil weave their grand design. Blocked the road does stand, such is our hunter's plight. Yet with sword and courage in hand, they march forth to pierce the night.
I don't recall asking for a bardic song. Don't expect me to give you any coin. But if you meant what you sang, and you are indeed some kind of hunter, then by all means, please, go out and kill those monsters for us. Those monsters are camped outside the city, and they've been destroying all our trade routes. We have limited reserves within the city, so if this continues, we're all gonna be in big trouble.
Wait, you're saying no one has put a plan in place to distribute supplies or maintain order?
We could all starve and those nobles in the palace wouldn't even break a sweat. Who knows? Maybe they've been in cahoots with the monsters all along.
That is concerning.
Yeah, alright, I think I've said more than enough. Be on your way now.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Don't mind him, Farina. He just doesn't have enough taste to appreciate your art.
No. I was just thinking about how those nobles must be so cold-hearted. It's like they don't care about their people at all.
Should we try to go somewhere with more people?
Oh, how about the city square? Follow me.
Before you lies the city's central square. You see a man with a slightly anxious look on his face, pacing back and forth, his head hanging low. He doesn't seem to notice your approach. Still immersed in his own thoughts, he shakes his head and lets out a long sigh.
This guy seems promising enough. Maybe I can get some information out of him. Hello, sir. Is there anything I can do to help you?
Wait, you're...
I'm...
Oh, dear goodness! You're a Marechaussee hunter!
You recognize us? Ah, are you one of the people who wrote the commission letter?
Yes, yes! Oh, I didn't expect you to actually come. Oh, what great news! The city is saved!
What happened here?
Alas, we once lived comfortable, carefree lives. This city used to be free of monsters. The first Marechaussee hunter, Casiodor, the Golden Hunter, he was the one who drove them back. However, monsters have once again surrounded the city. Perhaps the seal that kept them at bay has lost its power. Or perhaps an evil sorcerer has been meddling in our affairs. All I know for sure is that their return has stripped the city of any chance at peace.
Are there not enough soldiers to drive them out?
It's not a question of numbers. The guards simply have no idea how to deal with them. Most people my age have never even seen one of the monsters, much less been trained to fight against them. What's worse, many of us don't even know the history of the Marechaussee hunters anymore. When I was a child, though, my grandfather would tell me stories about how the Marechaussee hunters drove back the monsters. So, on the off chance that something might come of it, I decided to reach out to you. To be perfectly honest, I was starting to think all those stories were just tall tales. But now that I've seen you in person, I finally know that it was true!
Well, you can rest easy, friend. The righteous and formidable Marechaussee hunters are on the case.
The man is touched by your determination and resolve. His eyes begin to well with tears of relief.
Still, if we are going to hunt the monsters, we need to know where to find them. Can you give us any leads?
All I know is that the area outside the city is dangerous. I'm afraid I can't point you toward a specific location. Oh, although, if you leave the capital through the main gate and follow the road, you should run into a group of guards. They might know more about where to find the monsters.
I see. We'll go look for them then.
All right, be careful. Oh, and one last thing. The monsters outside the city are just part of the problem. There are evil sorcerers inside the city as well, so be on your guard. They're actively working with the monsters, and have corrupted the court ministers with malicious magic. They're the reason why, even inside the city, everything has been a giant mess. Even one of our kindest ministers has turned into a boorish and unreasonable figure, interested in nothing but enacting laws that exploit the people. Who knows how much longer we'll be able to go on like this.
Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I feel bad for him. Maybe we should try to cheer him up?
Huh? Like, now? Is this really the right time?
I appreciate your kindness, but for now, it's more important to focus on the crisis at hand. Brave hunters, I leave the future of this kingdom to you.
If I understood correctly, there are currently 2 problems in the kingdom that need solving, right?
Exactly. We need to defeat the monsters outside the city and take down the evil sorcerer stirring up trouble from within.
But which problem should we tackle first?
Well, this seems like a good moment for a break. Take some time and discuss what you want to do. Let me know when you've made your decision.
I really didn't expect the people in the city to keep us at arm's length like that. I totally thought the hunters would be treated like heroes.
Well, Clarence said the script took cues from the real history of Fontaine, right? Maybe the real-life Marachose hunters were also treated like that.
I wouldn't say it's a perfect representation of history, but there are definitely some similarities. Would you like to hear more about it?
Sure. As long as it doesn't spoil anything in the script. You've brought up bits and pieces of the hunter's history before, but it was all in passing.
Paimon wants to know too! The hunters were super powerful, right? Were they all from a special line of supernatural beings or something? Kind of like the yokai in Inazuma?
No. All Marachose hunters were ordinary mortal fighters. The only thing that set them apart were the special sword techniques passed down over the centuries.
Huh? So you mean anyone could become a Marachose hunter?
In theory, yes. All you would need to do is survive the rigorous training and master the swordsmanship techniques required to fight the monsters. Still, most people dropped out at the early stages, and others called it quits the minute they saw a monster in person. To become a hunter, you must be strong in both body and mind.
What kind of monsters did the hunters fight exactly? Oh, and the evil sorcerer the script mentions. Did they exist in real life too?
The land of Fontaine once played host to an ancient dynasty known as Remuria. After that dynasty fell, monsters began to appear, intent on obstructing humans from establishing a new social order. One of the ancient sorcerers of Remuria used his power to assemble a formidable army of golems. He sought to use that force to establish himself as king.
Now wait a second. Don't tell me that guy was the inspiration for the evil sorcerer in the script. We still haven't found any in-game information on him yet. So, why don't you talk about someone else for now?
Well, I wasn't planning on going into anything you might be able to find out in the game. But if you want me to talk about something else, then... How about Casiodor, the Golden Hunter? Or Egeria, the ex-Hydro Archon?
Wait, but those people are all from a super long time ago. Where did you learn all this, Clarand?
From my master.
By master, you mean Miss Petronia?
Is someone you know?
Absolutely. Miss Petronia and my father were good friends. Back in the day, she would often bring Clorand over to play, but then...
Let's not get off topic. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Responding to Egeria's call, a number of warriors followed Casiodor into battle against the monsters. This group of warriors, under Casiodor's leadership, became known as the Marachose Hunters. Yet, as Fontaine entered an era of peace, their work gradually became obsolete. The Marachose Phantom, originally an association made up of hunters, eventually came to be predominantly comprised of Melusines.
Ah, I see. That explains why most of the people in the script have forgotten the hunters or think of them as nothing more than a legend.
Is that really a bad thing, though? It can get tough always being the one shouldering everyone's expectations.
Depends on who you ask, I suppose. If the name of the organization no longer commands respect, investigative work is bound to suffer.
Speaking of investigations, which problem should we tackle first? Monsters or evil sorcerer?
I vote monsters. That's the main duty of the hunters, right? We can come back to the sorcerer later.
Well said, Miss Farina. Plus, if the sorcerers really are the masterminds behind this whole thing, defeating the monsters could give us some clues on their intentions as well.
What about you, partner? What do you think? I mean, you're not wrong. But those characters are usually the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes. More often than not, they're very formidable opponents. Going after them now might be jumping the gun a little bit. We don't want a total party kill on the first day, right? With Clorand as the GM, I wouldn't rule out the possibility. Then it's settled. Let's go hunt some monsters.
All right. After some discussion, you decide to turn around and head out of the city.
Let's take a look around, like that guy said.
You there! Outsiders, halt!
Who's there?
An armored man approaches you. He has a tall, muscular build and a determined expression in his eyes. Just one look, and you can tell he's fought in his fair share of battles. Although he's trying his best to conceal his current state, his uneven gait and the sweat dripping down his forehead make it obvious that he's been wounded and is in serious pain. I'm the captain of the guard. I saw you sneaking around the city earlier, so I'll only ask this once. State your purpose, or it's off to the dungeons for the lot of you.
Wow, it's been a while since someone's been this suspicious of us.
I said talk, not whisper between yourselves.
Have you ever heard of the Marchese Hunters?
Marechaussee hunters? Ha! That fairy tale, you mean? What, do you expect me to believe you're one of them? With some suspicion, the captain allows you to survey his condition after you announce yourself as a trained doctor. Unfortunately, you're unable to adequately assess the source of his injury, much less come up with a way to relieve his pain.
I'm sorry. My skills are a little rusty.
Well, this is no ordinary wound. It was inflicted by a monster. Now tell me, are you truly a Marechaussee hunter? He regards you with suspicion for quite some time before shaking his head. Perhaps he's finally accepted that you're here to help.
Sir, we were indeed in the city earlier, but our purpose was only to gather information on the monsters. We're here to help the city and all the people within it. Your guards are still fighting the monsters as we speak. They could be seriously wounded and in grave need of support. You need all the help you can get.
The man regards you with doubt and concern. After a period of inner struggle, he lets out a long sigh and informs you of the locations where the monsters have appeared. Some of our new recruits have never even dealt with a petty thief, and now they're out there fighting monsters. If it weren't for this cursed leg.
Oh, please, sir. Don't get too worked up. You need to focus on your recovery. Just leave the monsters to us. We're Marechaussee hunters, after all.
Hearing you say that, a glimmer of hope flashes in his eyes. But it disappears almost as quickly as it came. Those monsters aren't easy to deal with. But if you insist on going, I won't stop you either. I just hope all the guards will be able to come back to their families alive. I wish you the best of luck.